Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to start a new reading vlog. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I have set myself a goal of finishing 5 series this year. And today we're going to start the reading vlog for this second series, and that is going to be the Greenbone Saga. So I just started listening to the audiobook for Jade City. Very excited. I don't quite know what to expect. I've heard a lot of things, especially about the second and third book. Many people say the first book is not the best, but that the other 2 books are definitely worth it, so I will trust that opinion, and I'm very intrigued to see how I feel. Again, as with the first series that I did this with, I will update you when I have read the first half of the first book and let you know what I think. We'll see how long that takes me. I don't think it will take me too long, but yeah, I'll keep you updated. So I'm now 50% through Jade City, the first book in the Greenbone Saga, and I thought I'd give you a quick update. I don't have too much to say yet because I feel like the first half of this book is definitely all set up. So I've heard that this book is very action-packed, and I don't really agree with that. There are a couple of fight scenes, and I'm not the biggest fan of fight scenes, to be honest, but I think there was like maybe 3 or something like that, so it isn't too bad. It's not like it's all just fighting and action and stuff. I think it's much more about getting to know the characters, and we are basically following 3 siblings. We have 2 brothers and a sister, and their parents, their father has passed away, their mother has left town, and the grandfather, who was the leader of this clan, has retired basically, so now the eldest brother is leading the clan, and the youngest brother is kind of his general, so he commands all of the like Jade warriors, like all of the people that are involved in the clan to, beat other people up and stuff like that. And the sister is trying to get rid of all her clan connections. She had left the country for a while, now she's back, but she doesn't want anything to do with the clan so far, but probably that won't last, not gonna lie. There's also a couple of sex scenes in this book, so this is definitely adult, and I am enjoying it. I think right now it's quite a solid read. I do like the characters. I think that they're very different, but it's easy to understand how they work together as siblings. I think that is very well done. I have heard the criticism that this book is very male dominating, so we have the male characters be very much in power, and there is a couple of scenes with the younger brother and his fiance that are a bit uncomfortable because he's not like a very, I don't know how to say it, like a very feminist guy. And apart from that, I still think it is an interesting book. I think that it doesn't really critique these power structures, but I think what it shows is that these kind of clan war things often have to do with like masculinity as well. On the other hand, their rival clan is led English by a woman, so and she is the aggressor, so maybe it's not all about masculinity, I don't know, but so far I don't really have a huge problem with that portrayal, but it would be more interesting to see more strong female characters integrated in the story alongside Jade, the sister. So I'm interested to see what else we get from the fiancé of the second brother, whether she will play a bigger role in the future. And what I do like about this book is that you definitely feel for the characters. it has that feeling that at any moment, any one of those characters could actually die. And I think that is very interesting because, like, usually, especially at the beginning of books, you don't really feel like there's a lot to lose. But here, I definitely have that feeling that we will get some very unexpected character death, but we will see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. That's just my impression. So what I'm trying to say here is, so far this book has been a lot of setup. It is portraying the clans and the way the politics work in this city, what Jade is, what it does. So that's all very much explained, and we'll see where the second half goes, because I think it will probably pick up a little bit more and show the kind of direction that the story is headed a bit more, apart from just the basic setup and the kind of fracture lines between those clans. So yeah, I'm intrigued to read more, but so far probably not gonna be a favorite book for me. So I have finished Jade City by Fonda Lee, and I thought I'd give you an update for this vlog. My reading experience with this book has been a little bit of a bumpy road. First off, I want to say that I said something in my first update that instantly became true when I listened to it the next time, which was kind of funny. But yeah, sometimes that happens. And after the halfway point, my enjoyment of the book kind of dipped. I was bored a little bit with what was happening, which is kind of weird because like a lot was happening, but I just didn't really care a lot. So I was not enjoying it for a while, but then the ending got like super intense and I enjoyed it a lot more again. So overall, I decided to give it 4 stars. It is a weaker 4 stars, maybe more like a 3.75, but you know, I don't want to be ridiculous. It's a 4 star. I do think that it sets the tone for the rest of the story, definitely. And I'm very much intrigued to go into the second book now, which I have already started. And yeah, I will listen to that right away because I'm like immersed in the world right now. So yeah, first book down. It's solid, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of some parts of it. And there's some characters that I don't agree with that much. But yeah, as I said, solid read, fine. I hope that the second and the third book will really knock this one out of the park. So I will go into some spoilers now. So if you haven't read the first book, I would highly recommend you skip over this part. I will mark it in the chapters so you know when I end the spoiler part and you can listen to my spoiler-free opinion of the second book. So the thing I said in my last update was something along the lines of I have the feeling that any character could die at any moment. And then I listened to it the next day and Lan died and I was not prepared. I know that I said that, but I did not expect it to happen halfway through the book. Like, that was so crazy. And yeah, for me, it was such a like power move of the author and I really applaud her for it. I think it is fun to do this and to have your readers struggle a little bit. But at the same time, Lan was the character that I could connect to because he was kind of the rational one, but he also saw the way he was in this dynamic that he didn't really have a lot of like his own choices and he had to go with what's best for the clan because of his position. And so I really connected to Lan's character, and to lose him as this point of like identification in the book was a little bit rough and ultimately led to me not care about a lot of the things that happen in the second book. I had a hard time connecting with Hilo because he really has this like bumpy road with me. Like there's moments when I really like him, and then there's moments when I just want to slap him in the face, to be honest. So yeah, we're going up and down, and I think that is probably gonna continue because he just has some traits that I can't deal with. Shay, on the other hand, I do like, but I still feel like she needs a little bit of character growth. Obviously, she has like mixed feelings when it comes to the clan, but I felt like her going back to it and becoming the weatherman, it did not deal with her feelings well enough for me. Like I would have expected a little bit more. I think that you have these hints here and there, but I just wanted it to be more, not obvious, but just discussed more, like what this means for her and why this is a big deal. I wanted to see it be a big deal and not just hear it in a way. I don't think, it was explored that well. It was just mentioned. I think that's what I had trouble with. Then we have Andon, who obviously has also a very interesting arc, and I'm especially intrigued to see what happens in the second book because, like, honestly, the like ending when he killed the horn of the mountain was pretty crazy, and I really understand the way he feels, and I think he gets so much more interesting now that he's struggling with what he wants and what he fears so much, because it's basically the same thing. He wants what he fears, and that is a very interesting concept that I would like to see explored more. Yeah, he's now the one I feel like that you can connect to because, again, he tries to be a good person, which Hilo and Shay don't really, to be honest. And I think that is something that I can connect to, but at the same time, we have no idea what's gonna happen with Andon. And then we have the thief. I always forget his name because I don't like him. I know that he's not meant to be a character that you like, but I'm still bothered by him. There's like evil characters that you love to hate, but he's just one of those characters that I hate. He's like really annoying, and I'm pretty sure that he will fit into the picture in the large scale at the end. But like right now, it's always just these little connections to the main story, and yeah, I don't know. I couldn't care less, honestly. So yeah, I've heard or like seen some comments that the Pillar of the Mountain clan is gonna be more on the forefront of the second book. I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but I would be interested if it is correct. On the other hand, what I've seen of her so far, I think I'm just a bit bored, to be honest. Like her conversation with Shay, I don't know. Like I was like rooting for Shay all the way. I don't think that the Pillar of the Mountain will be a character that I will be like really interested in, because I don't really feel like she will have a lot of growth. And she's just like this ruthless woman who would do anything to be in power. And yeah, it's this kind of like very iffy feminist approach to be like, yeah, I fought my way to the top, and I'm looking for women who are just as ruthless and amazing as me, so they can like rise to the top as well. I don't know, it's just a very elitist idea of like feminism, and it's iffy. So it's interesting to see such a character as the like bad woman, not guy. But yeah, we'll see how I feel about her in the second book. So yeah, as I said, I thought the ending was like so intense, and I was actually scared. I thought if Fonda Lee kills off Hilo now as well, I thought like, what's even gonna happen in the second book? But yeah, it was definitely intense. It was very intense, and because she does kill off Lan in the book, you really fear for Hilo. Yeah, it's really an option that he dies also, even though it's like very hard to imagine where the story goes from there. So yeah. Yeah, it's so far an interesting read, definitely something different, just because like these gang wars and the high stakes and all the like male dominated stuff, it's not what I usually read, but it's intriguing. And I've heard so many people say that the second and the third book will break my heart. I'm waiting for it. So I am halfway through Jade War, and I wanted to give you a quick update. I think I am enjoying this second installment more than the first one. It still has its lulls, but I feel like I've gotten more into the world and the characters and stuff like that. The first book is very much setup, and I feel like this book also is still quite a bit of setup for now. Obviously, the first half is gonna set up something that happens later. But yeah, I feel like there is more interesting twists and turns. I do like to see Anden, who has now changed place a little bit. Don't want to spoil anything here. I will go into spoilers in a second. I do like seeing Shay. I think she develops really well in her position that she's in now. And I also like that she gets a little bit of a personal life. I love Wen. I think we could see more of her, but the little glimpses we get, I absolutely love her. She's an amazing character. With Hilo, I still have my ups and downs, but he is interesting. He just can be like an unbelievable character, to be honest. And yeah, I think the plot is getting more interesting now. As I said, it had a couple of lulls where I was not sure where things are going, but right now I'm at a pretty crazy point, and yeah, so it's like very intense moments, but it also has like chapters that are, you know, that are just there and you just trudge along, I guess. So yeah, definitely enjoying, but not absolutely loving yet. So I think I will go into a couple of spoilers now, because the first half of this book had a couple of moments that I need to talk about. And I think the first thing I will have to say is Hilo killed Amy. What the fuck? That was such a scene. I could not believe what I was hearing. I was like, he's not. This man, he should not be allowed to have so much power, to be honest. But yeah, that was just a shock moment, to be sure. He took Nico, which was also unexpected. I do like that we get to see Nico and the other child, Rue, or something like that. Oh, I'm so bad with names. But I do like that we probably get to see them grow up together now a little bit. But still, I was so in shock when Hilo killed Amy. And yeah, what the hell? And then we do have a couple of other changes. I do really like seeing Anden in this other land. I'm bad with names, I'm sorry, but he's like, you know, he's in this land where Shay was before. I have no idea. And I do like seeing him kind of get into the society there. I love that he's getting a bit of a romantic subplot, and I hope we get to see more, because so far there has only been like one romantic / sexual scene. I do want to see more romantic scenes. I don't mind sex in books, but it's not what, you know, I'm going in for, to be honest. But yeah, I'm very glad that he gets a little bit of romance in his life as well, and I'm very intrigued to see where his character goes. in this book as well, we do cover quite a bit of time. I feel like, we cover more time than in the first one. And I like the way that it is incorporated. You never feel like big time jumps, but it just, mentions here and there that now it's been 6 weeks and stuff like that. So I'm fine with the way this covers more time. And that way we see like more interesting changes happening. And we don't have to stick around for all the like build-up stuff. So I am enjoying that. And I'm very glad that Shay got a little bit of a romance plotline as well. It is not in the forefront of the story, but I do like her boyfriend, even though I hate the word. And I like that it adds a little bit of spice to the story. And then this morning I listened to the part where she has an abortion, which I thought was so great to see incorporated in a story like that, because it is a lived experience for so many women. And this being a book that is not about abortion, but just one character is going through it, I thought that was great. I thought that it didn't go into like a huge amount of detail about it, which I also liked. And what I loved about it was the kind of friendship between Wen and Shay, and the way Wen treated her and the discussion they had about it. I thought that was so beautiful and something that I very much enjoyed. So I thought that was an interesting little add-on. I also like seeing how that influences her relationship with her partner now. And we do get a few glimpses in the first half. But at the point where I am right now, Shay has just offered a clean blade to, what's her name? Like the evil woman. And I don't know. I'm afraid to keep listening. They're literally about to start. They just both arrived at the venue thing. So yeah, that will be something that I have to go through when I do the dishes tonight. So yeah, we will see how much of Shay we will get to know after that. I am really worried because of the first book, because the author already killed off Lan. So I don't know. But yeah, as you see, I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of things in this book that I like. A couple of like scenes that are a little bit more boring. I don't care about the Jade thief guy. He's still alive. How? He should have died like 5 times now. So, yeah. But I'm still enjoying my reading experience of this, and I'm very nervous to keep listening to it because I don't want anything bad to happen to Shay. Oh. Okay. I will tell you what I thought when I finished the book. So, wish me luck. I hope I will survive. So here we are again. Yesterday I finished Jade War, and what a wild ride that second half was. I really enjoyed it. I did enjoy the second book more than the first one. I told you that the first one was a weak 4 stars, leaning towards the 3.5, but I gave it the 4 stars for the courage. This book, however, is still a 4 star, but it's leaning towards the 4.5. So I did really like it, and you get attached to the characters in a weird way. I would still say that I don't care as much about the main characters, but there are a couple of side characters that I care a lot about, and those were in the center of the like finale now of the second book. So yeah, I was scared. Fonda Lee scares me. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that, you know, the political stuff and all the yeah, like the intrigue and the like deceptions and stuff like that are still really good. And if you're into that, I think you will really enjoy the series. I think I want to go into a few spoilery thoughts. So if you haven't read the second book, I would recommend that you skip over this one. I will mark it in the chapters as always, so it's easy for you to skip to my spoiler-free thoughts on the last book. But yeah, that book was so much. I remember saying that I was really glad that Shay and Andon got a little bit of romance, but honestly, having feelings for someone in this series is just like a death sentence. I mean, yeah, the moment I had my last update, there was the scene when Shay had the abortion, which I told you I really liked, and I really enjoyed seeing that as a very normal thing, a very calculated, rational thing in a book like that. But I said that I was intrigued to see how that changes her relationship with her partner. And I think it was portrayed in a quite realistic way, that there is just some trust lost and you can't really move on well after that. And yeah, I also think that it was nice to see it portrayed as something bad, that she didn't talk with her partner about it beforehand, because I think that is very important. And while I totally agree that this is a choice that a woman needs to make, I still think that the partner should be involved in the process, because yeah, otherwise that's not a partner. Yeah, but I did enjoy how that was portrayed. But then obviously we get this whole new dimension on top of that, with Morrow being a traitor because his family gets threatened, and Shay finally killing him, which was a scene I did not expect. I did like that he came forward and that he went to the call house and told her what happened. And I think that really strengthens his character and shows that he was ultimately like just a good person. And I really understand that Shay felt so guilty, because obviously if she wouldn't have had those feelings for him, if she wouldn't have pulled him into this world, he probably would have lived a very normal, successful life and could have probably helped a lot of students and stuff like that. So I wasn't really happy that he died, but I thought it was done in a very good way. Yeah, that leads us to the next point, that Ken dies, which I really didn't believe. I thought there would be like something going on, that he survives, that he used his like whatever strength, stealth, whatever they have, steel, I don't know, all these terms, whatever. But yeah, he did not. And yeah, that was also like a very traumatic scene, because I love Wenche so much, and obviously everything that has to do with her like is important to me. And I thought she was so strong and so amazing in that scene, just being like, okay, I'm gonna neighbors, you know, I'm gonna save my children now and I don't care what happens. And yeah, Wen is amazing. She's my favorite character by far. So yeah, that was so unexpected, and that's just something Fonda Lee does, I guess, and it makes it feel more real because, yeah, if you're at war, not everyone survives, and yeah, I really like that. And then we have the whole Andon situation. Now, I really enjoyed Andon's storyline in this one. I thought that he has a lot of character development. And in this book, we are spending quite a few years. So I guess some parts of it you don't really see on page. But I really enjoyed that he got this little romance with Corey, and also that it ended, because I think before the moment when Corey's dad asks Andon to end things, you can already see that it probably wouldn't work out and that they might have feelings for each other, but that their lives just don't fit. And I am hoping a little bit that Andon will now get with the Load Boy or whatever his name was. So we'll see. But yeah, I did like seeing Andon's development, and that last scene with Wen and Andon and the horn of whatever that city is called. It was so intense. It was so intense. I have a little plushie on my keyring, and I was like squeezing it like a stress ball while taking a walk and listening to that scene. It was a lot. And yeah, I did really enjoy it, obviously. It really pulls at your heartstrings. And the moment that Wen died, I was like giving up on the series. I was like, I can't deal with this. I can't move on from here. No, I was starting to hate Andon for being so stubborn and not wearing Jade. And then he brought her back. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how that works out in the last book now. I think that Fonda Lee is very good in making things have meaning. So even though Wen is alive, it's not like over. It's not like, oh, he saved her and now everything is fine. But obviously she was dead for a couple of minutes, so that will have repercussions. And yeah, but I'm just glad. I was not ready to give that woman up. She is so great. Yeah, that was a whole lot. And then we have the scene with Hilo and Shay afterwards, where Shay tells him everything. And I really liked seeing Shay's development in that moment, the way she stood her ground. And I think that was a very profound moment, because obviously she has suffered a lot and she has sacrificed a lot for her position as weatherman. But I always feel like Hilo doesn't really see it like that. He doesn't really appreciate her in a way, especially when she killed Morrow. I think that Hilo and what's his name, Tar, saw it more as something she did wrong because they wanted to enact their revenge more. But obviously for her that was like a super big sacrifice. So yeah, it was just nice to see her stand her ground and tell him into his face that she has sacrificed a lot for the clan as well, and that it's not just him. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see how these relationships develop now in the third book, like Shay, Hilo, and Wen. I really loved the relationship of Shay and Wen. We only get very few glimpses of it, but whenever we do see it, I really, really like it. And I'm glad that these two very strong women are friends in this book. And I just wish we would see even more. Like I said, in the abortion scene, I loved Wen in that scene. She was such a good friend at that moment. And yeah, well, that book was a wild ride. I think the one thing I haven't talked about is the whole Stone Eye thing with Hilo's son. I am intrigued to see how that works out, because I think it is very interesting the way you see Hilo react and then Wen react, because Hilo tries to be like very accepting of that, as he has been with Wen, and Wen is not. And I'm intrigued to see how that develops in the third book, like depending on obviously how her recovery goes as well. But I thought, yeah, let me just say that the last couple of scenes before the whole dramatic fuck up with Ren really seemed like final moments to me. Like Fonda Lee did that so well, and yeah, I'm just glad she's alive. I'm just so glad. So, wow, what a book. What a book. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. It was definitely so much, and I did enjoy a lot of it. Like, I do think there is still a couple of lulls in between, like where things are not progressing that fast, or where I'm just like, yeah, there's just even more complexity on top of everything. Do we really need that? Especially with the Jade Thieves. I predicted that, what's his name, Barrow, that he wasn't dead, and I was correct. It is interesting to see what happened in the last part now, in the last book with him. But yeah, I thought that was a good red herring. But it was quite obvious that he wouldn't be killed that easily. So yeah, shit will go down. I don't know if I'm ready, but I have started the last book now, and we'll see it through to the end. So here we are again. I have finished the first half of Jade Legacy, and I thought I'd give you a quick update. Now, this third book definitely stays in the vein of the second book when it comes to like excitement and political intrigue and like all of these strings that are being told, basically. What is different is that time passes a lot more quickly than in the first two books, I think. So yeah, that's something I don't usually enjoy that much. If you have like bigger time jumps in the story, I always feel like I'm missing out. But in that way, it kind of reminds me of Pachinko, where that happened as well, and I was fine with it. I still think that, yeah, this is a very, very long book, and I think I would have preferred if we get a little bit more of the in-between as well, and maybe have 2 books instead. I don't know. It's always hard to tell, because obviously the writers make a choice to have these time jumps, but sometimes you kind of lose track of some of the characters, where they're at, and then they do something, and you have to remember kind of what their whole situation was and why they might be doing that right now. But yeah, I think just because you're so invested in all of these characters, it definitely works. So yeah, I am really enjoying my time listening to Jade Legacy. Apart from that, I think I don't have too many non-spoilery things to say. I think that if you enjoyed the first 2 books, you will definitely enjoy the last one. But I also recommend binging this series, because you're like really caring for these characters if you're listening or reading them all at once. And I could see myself being a lot more confused with all the names and the characters if I had not just finished Jade War. So that's probably something to keep in mind, that maybe if you have read Jade War and you want to go into Jade Legacy, then reread Jade War or something like that, or at least like the second half, just to get back into things. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I hope this will turn out to be a 4.5 star read. I think it will not reach the 5 stars for me, but I think if the ending is like really, really good, which is all I've heard so far, then it will probably be a 4.5 star read for me. So let's get into some spoilery bits. I don't even know where to start, so I'll probably just start with the obvious, and that is Wen. She's my favorite character. I love her so much, and obviously with the ending of Jade War, It's very uncertain what will happen to her character, but I loved everything we saw of her in this first half of Jade Legacy. The way she fought back into life. I really like the way that she becomes Pillar Man, and she really is that very involved wife of the Pillar, which is something that hadn't been the case before. So I really enjoy that. It definitely gives off some, yeah, just like First Lady vibes, the way she is in, you know, all of these different like fundraisers and just showing her face and making the clan more of an enterprise to be seen or something like that. I don't know how to describe it. But I really enjoyed that. I think that seeing her conflict with Hilo at the beginning and the way it was explained was excellent. I really enjoyed that, and I'm very glad that we see them come back together as a couple and really working through this time. I really have such an appreciation for Hilo in this relationship, because even though he's not like the man I would want to date, to be honest, I think that he is not afraid to put in the work, and that's just something that I really enjoy seeing. And yeah, they're just so good together, and they're just an incredible team, and I love that. I'm intrigued to see where the whole like movie and sports thing goes, like if that ever gets more importance again, or yeah. It's just interesting, and I think that Wen is so good at scheming, and she's such an intriguing, fascinating character, and I always cheer her on when she's on page. Now with Hilo, we obviously have a bit of an up and down, and I gotta be honest, he definitely tested my feelings in this first half. We obviously have the bombing. I think it's about, I don't know, maybe 40% through the book, we have the bombing, and it was obviously hinted at before that they had this training, so I was pretty sure that Hilo would live, but they really stretched it out, like, it was hard, but I loved that part of the story. I thought it was so well done. All the characters, the places they were, it was masterful. The way that Hilo was there with Woon, and they just, the way it was like told how he's so happy to have his daughter now, and then they get the message and you're like, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. I was so sure of it. I really thought that Hilo would live and Woon would die. So, yeah, it was really tense. And then the whole thing with Ait, I thought it was also so clever to have Shay and Andon be the ones who find and save Ait. And the way that her former Horn got there to pick her up, and then they get the call that Hilo is alive. It was such an intense and fantastic scene, because obviously the Horn had spared Shay's life before, and Ait had spared Andon's life before. So it was just a very interesting constellation in the room, and yeah, I loved that. It was so interesting, and it's a bit sad that we don't really see a lot of Ait now, because she's kind of not hiding behind the Coben family, but like not doing so many like official things anymore, letting the Coben family talk for the clan and stuff. So I would really like to know what she's up to. Like, she must be up to something. And I think it's also interesting to see the clans work together more now. That's definitely one part I do enjoy seeing. There's so much going on. The scene with Andon, where he's supposed to get this little crime lord of that one city to kick out the mountain of the city, and he gets offered to give a blowjob to the guy, and Andon just becomes like such a badass, and like Oh, that was such a good scene. I also really like that Annan is in the medical business now. I think that was also such a good idea to give him purpose and to give him a life of his own and a way to really do what he wanted, that he's not hurting or killing people, but he's still an asset to the clan, but also just helping people. I was so glad to see it. And he also got a new love interest, which is also nice because I just want him to be happy. Ellen is so cute and I want him to be happy. So yeah, now I'm getting into the parts where the kids are growing up and are basically adults themselves. I think that's very interesting. As I said, time goes by really fast in this book, so we don't really see the kids growing up so much. But as I said, it really reminds me of Pachinko in a way, and also with the 3 kids. And we have these 2 brothers. They're not really brothers, but they grew up as brothers, with Rue and Nico. And I think it's so interesting the way that Nico was the quiet one and Rue was a little bit of the troublemaker, and also with Rue being a stone eye. I think it's so interesting to now see them growing into adults, and Nico just blew up at the dinner table, and he's the one you didn't really expect it from. He's the one you didn't really expect to leave the family and to break his mother's heart. And I think it's interesting to see that the whole thing with his parents is coming up again, because obviously that is a pretty shitty situation. Like growing up with people you love, but knowing that they are responsible for your mother's death, that is a pretty shitty situation. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes now, but it definitely reminded me of the dynamic of the children in Pachinko as well, because you have the eldest son in Pachinko where you think he's gonna be, it's a little bit spoilery for Pachinko now. But not really. Read the book anyway. It's so amazing and there's so much more to it than what I will say now. But yeah, you have the eldest son who you think will be the great one, who's the smart one, the quiet one, the good boy, basically. And then he turns out to be a very bad egg. And then you have the smaller brother who is a little bit of a troublemaker, not finishing school and stuff. But he turns out to be the good one, the one who stays with his family. And yeah, it's definitely similar that we now have Nico storming out and Rue, even though he's a stone eye, planning his future in a way similar to Andon, where he can help people, but he's also an asset to the clan. And I also really liked that Rue said he wanted to study sociology. You go, boo, you go. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. There is so much more I could talk about, but then this video would be like hours and hours long. And you still want to read the books, or you have read them, and you have experienced all of this. I haven't even talked about Shay and her pregnancy and her child. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes in the second half, because the whole idea of Woon being a stay-at-home dad is so cute. It's so adorable. And obviously Shay doesn't really see herself as a mother. So that's a very interesting discussion as well. There's just so much in this series where I'm just like, it's so good to see that in a book series. Like, yeah, with all of them being parents and struggling, and then also, as I said, the abortion scene was really well done and it was just integrated into the story so well. And there's like lots of little moments where I think like, yeah, that is a fantasy series, but it has a lot of like very relatable everyday things in it that, yeah, just people can attach to and feel connected to the story. And I really, really enjoy that. So yeah, I'm very stoked to read the second half now, and I will update you when I'm done. So here we are. I have finished Jade Legacy. It is time for the final update of this video. So yeah, yesterday I finished Jade Legacy. I basically sat down and listened to the last, I think, about 2 hours without a break. It was a lot. This series as a whole is really a lot. And I've said multiple times, Fonda Lee is not holding back and she's putting you through all the emotions. But in the end, I really enjoyed it. I gave the last book now 4.5 stars. I think if you have stuck with these characters for such a long time, it is very hard not to care and not to just to feel for their fates and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed getting so close to these characters in a way. And I think it's just an interesting exploration of like family. This last book really reminded me of Pachinko in a way. Obviously Pachinko is historical fiction and not fantasy, but the family dynamics portrayed and like the time jumps and stuff were very similar. And there were some themes that were similar. I still think that Pachinko is the better book just because it, is shorter and deals with even more themes, I feel like. But on the other hand, there's some things that the Greenbone Saga doesn't have to gloss over so much. So yeah, both are great. And if you enjoyed one and you're open to other genres, I think you would enjoy the other. Even though I have talked to someone on Discord who enjoyed the Greenbone Saga but did not like Pachinko too much. So maybe it's not a good recommendation, but I think for the like family dynamic stuff, it's definitely comparable in a way. Great series. I think that Fonda Lee is an amazing writer, and I will definitely have my eyes peeled for her next book or books or series or whatever. I don't know. There is this, like, I don't know, is it a novella or a prequel? I don't know what it is. I'm not quite sure whether I will read that. It is set in the world of the Greenbones, but it is set before, so I think during that big war that is mentioned a lot in the series. So yeah, I will see if it's a novella. I'm not really a novella person, so I might not read it, but if it is like a real prequel and I can get to it, I might read it. I'm not quite sure yet, so if you know more about that, let me know in the comments. So yeah, but as I said, I think as a trilogy, this is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I think that the world building and the whole like political machinations are very, very fascinating. And you just get close to these characters. They might not be like the best fleshed out characters, but what I could really appreciate is that these characters are very consistent. When they do things, you usually understand. Now, again, there might be some exceptions, and it also depends on, your level of, like, empathy, I guess. Like, can you put yourself into the shoes of these characters? But I never had this moment where I thought, like, why is this character doing this right now? And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I think it's great. And obviously it's a bit of work, especially the first book did feel a little bit dragging sometimes. But especially because of the audiobooks, I actually had a great time. And it was so weird to wake up this morning and know that I will not hear Hilo's voice. It was really weird. I don't know. He's definitely not my favorite character, but I still miss him. I'm sorry. And yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that was my experience. I'm gonna go into some spoilery bits now. So if you have watched for the non-spoilery thoughts, thank you so much. Leave a comment as well whether you're now interested in the series. And if you have read the books, then let's talk about them, because yeah, this last book, it's a lot. So I don't really remember what happened at the halfway point. It's just so confusing sometimes. So I think we haven't talked about Rue's death yet. I think that happened later. That was something that I saw coming and did not see coming at the same time. Like when the whole thing started, I was pretty sure that it would end with him being dead. But then as it all unfurled, and he was so smart about everything, I was like, oh my god, he actually has a chance. And then he still died. And that's just what Fonda Lee does. She leaves enough hope that they could live, but they could also die. And yeah, you just never know. You just never know. So I think that's definitely her strongest thing in this whole series. I think I talked about the bombing. I think that was in the last book. How am I so confused? So that was also something where you have hope, but then you also know that she has no problem with letting people die. So maybe your hope is for nothing. So yeah. I think if I remember correctly, at the halfway point was when and Shay got abducted. I don't know how I felt about the whole resolution of that, to be honest. With Shay being tortured and they basically wanted to sell the secrets to the mountain. I don't know why, but I don't know, that one just felt a little bit disconnected in a way, and I didn't really see how that was integrated in the story well enough. I think it is obviously interesting to see Hilo in that situation, and obviously love my queen Wen. You all know it by now. Wen is my queen, my favorite character of the whole series. She's amazing, and the way that she immediately understood what the abductors were trying to do. We love her, she's amazing. But yeah, also that Hilo then went to Ait. I think obviously that is something important, and I did like the kind of dialogue they had, but I don't really know whether it really fits into the whole ending. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. It's just, now that I think back on it, I'm a little bit confused. There's other things that you can see play more of a role towards the end, with Nico obviously joining that military thingy. I always forget the name of that. Is it Jim Santo? Oh, I'm so bad with names, I'm sorry. So because that was very interesting, because it was so similar to Andon in a way. Nico rebelling and leaving the family, obviously breaking his mother's heart. But if we keep up with the comparison with Pachinko a little bit, we also have that betrayal of the mother in Pachinko, but in a very different way. And I thought it was very interesting to see that, Nico being the calmer of the brothers, and the one who doesn't talk so much. But obviously he has this big trauma in his past, which for me is totally understandable that he... Obviously my SD card was full now. So yeah, I don't really remember what I was talking about. I think it was something about Nico and how that was so similar to Andon in a way, and I really liked how that whole situation showed some of Hilo's growth, but then the way he couldn't really get out of his skin, and he yeah, basically infiltrated that organization to make sure that Nico would be safe, and that obviously helps the whole plot along in the end as well. But yeah, I just really liked the way that showed who Hilo is and what he can work on and what he obviously can't. Yeah, with Wen, I was really sad that basically after the abduction we don't really see anything of her anymore. We have little glimpses, but she gets very much pushed into the background. And I thought that was really sad, because as I said, she's my favorite character. And I think that, yeah, in the final chapters, her viewpoint got a little bit lost behind, and I think it would have been interesting to get more of her view on things. Yeah, and then obviously we have the whole finale, the whole plan of Ide, the way that Hilo and Shay managed to destroy her plan, and I thought that was very interesting. Like, it was definitely that moment when so many of the strings finally got together, and yeah, that was interesting in the political kind of intrigue aspect. But then we have Ide being defeated, basically. I really like that last scene with Shay, and also the way that she probably could have felt what was coming if she would have worn her jade. So that was very intriguing as well. And then there's this scene when they are at the meeting, and Lode is supposed to kill Ide, and they find out that she's not in the house. And I was sitting here listening to my audiobook, and I was screaming at Lode to get to that freaking office building and get everyone out of there. Oh, that was so frustrating, because you obviously knew it was coming. You have that little hint with the weatherman of the not the recent weatherman, but the prior one, calling Ide and telling her that everything's ready. So you know what's gonna happen. And oh, I was just sitting here screaming at the characters. And then obviously we have Hilo's death, which I think was very well done. I cried my eyes out. It was just masterfully done. I think the whole scene, him realizing what was going on before everyone else, trying to stop it, but obviously couldn't, like, he was like super fast, but still he's like human in a way. And yeah, and just the way he sacrificed himself in the end to protect Shay and Nico, and also the other pillar. So yeah, that was like very hero. that was like very Hilo, to be honest. And I think that really couldn't have ended any other way. Like, there's this scene where he makes plans with Wen that they would like enjoy their time now and stuff, and honestly, we all know that's not gonna happen. Like, we have seen that vacation with Wen and Hilo. We know that they're not gonna retire and be happy for the rest of their days. So, yeah, I was really sad for Wen, obviously, but I think, yeah, just the way that Shay and Hilo talked in those final moments, and when Hilo asks Shay what he's supposed to say to Lan and stuff like that, I was a mess. I was crying all over. Yeah, it was really, really heartbreaking, and the way that Shay uses Jade again in those moments to perceive him as long as he's there and stuff. Fonda Lee knows what she's doing. She knows. And as I said, I think it was the perfect way to end it. Yeah, and I haven't really heard anyone complain about the ending or anything like that. So I think it's really a great way to end it. And the kind of last thing we get is Andon in the taxi with Barrow, and that was interesting. It was very intriguing. I think that in the end, I actually wanted to see a little bit more of Barrow's thoughts, because, yeah, he's just such an interesting character, and he never really turns things around in a way. And so to see him in that final scene as the taxi driver, so to know that he actually took the chance that Nico gave him, it just leaves open that question whether he has really changed or whether he's still like just going with the flow. I thought that last glimpse was very intriguing, but kind of left us hanging there with this character. I still think I wouldn't have needed him. He was just a lot, to be honest. Barrow is the one character I honestly couldn't care less about, but also that whole confrontation with Nico and Barrow was so good. It was so good, and I think it definitely showed that Nico was Lance's son, even though he couldn't really influence his education directly. But yeah, just the thoughtfulness and just the way that he could stay so level-headed in a moment when a man actually says to him, "I killed your father." That was amazing, and it was believable. And I think it's a little bit sad that we don't really see how Nico reflects on that after the scene is over. That would have been very interesting as well, but still, I liked that whole scene. It was just so well done, and Nico was so smart in that moment. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you thought of the last book, if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. But yeah, just an amazing series. Highly recommend if anyone's still watching and hasn't read it yet. Why are you doing that to yourself? I pretty much spoiled everything. So yeah, I will talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it's probably very long. And leave a like or nice comment. Bye!